Thank you.
Yeah, dog. You got too much going on.
Hey, you
I
know
don't
what I
want
was
any
gonna
of that
tell you
shit to
though?
squirt across the screen.
Hey man, don't G got a dyke afro? You know them
Wow.
black dykes be having them afros like G. I said, man, she got a G Malone haircut. They be having their little froze like this and be aggressive on the tongue ring. And look like they lick the shit out of some cat, don't they?
Well, I have a full head of hair.
I know you do, and I'm kind of jealous. That's why I'm talking shit.
I know. I could tell. I'm just telling you.
But you know what, though, G?
I don't know why my hair grows so full, and it's weird because like if I pull the shit right, the motherfucker is long, but it's like real coarse. But people hair grow long. My hair grows long, but it grows full. Like it's hair everywhere.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I don't have
if you got your shit straightened out, it'll probably be long as hell.
yeah, but I don't have balding spots. Like my hair is the same top to bottom.
Well, right now, G, we in an era where you don't have to go. Being bald is a choice. I can go buy me some shit tomorrow and look like I got a full hairline, got waves and everything else. Probably look 20 years younger. I thought about doing it.
You'd be a woman.
Why the fuck not? Bitches walking around fooling niggas all day.
Because
fool them right back.
Fool them right back. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go get me a hair full of hair. I'll show up to the club with a hair full of hair, green eyes. The next time them chicks come in there, and the bra be looking for you, that be cold as shit. Next time they come to your crib, you take that shit off, put your real. I don't know who you talking about. They're not here no more.
Here, we'll do some downward facing lace front jerry curl bangs. Very sexy, very sexy.
Yeah, why not? Because women is fooling motherfuckers.
I could see still with a jerry curl though.
Women are fooling motherfuckers. Women stay fooling motherfuckers, dog. Have you seen that shit, G, with the hair?
Yes, I've seen it with the hair. I've seen it. I've seen women with wigs. What do you stop working on your computer?
I ain't pulling up nothing else, bro.
You over here typing and shit. Like that's the point, man. Like we're in a weird space and time, and it's super metrosexual. You know what I mean? Like you're doing it again, dog.
What is happening? That's in the audio.
I didn't mean to do that.
It's like we're in a super, like even the way you just said that, where you're talking about it, you like, well, the girls is doing it. And it's like, that's what I don't like about this modern world where there's like something wrong with two sets of standards. Like kids and adults have two sets of standards. Lions and tigers have two sets of standards. Like life has two sets of standards. It's okay if you have a different set of standards. That don't mean we have to do everything women do, and women shouldn't be doing everything we doing.
Man, my nuts have two sets of standards.
We have consequences and they don't.
The left ball and the right ball. The left ball has one standard, the right ball has another standard.
What the fuck is wrong with you today?
Man, I'm just in one of the moods today, bro.
I see you is tripping.
I'm just in one of the moods today, dog. I'm thinking about treating myself and going to go buy me some fucking hair, dog.
Do not go buy yourself no hair.
Man, these women out here spending a ton of money buying shit to do this and do that, changing hair up every fucking week, buying booties, buying titties, buying hair, buying eyelashes.
You?
Man, fuck it. I ain't, man, fuck it. It's a choice to go bald now or be bald now. I wouldn't mind having some waves in my shit.
Go buy some triceps and some bangs, and then we'll see how it works.
I'm not buying no bangs and no shit like that, but I would get my motherfucking wig done though. Have me some waves on top of this motherfucker. Because the shit look right, dog. It don't look fake. Have you seen that shit? This shit is amazing.
It's not amazing. You look like Jerome from Snowfall.
No, bro.
Teach your man how to squabble.
I wouldn't get no curl. I wouldn't get no Jerry curl.
You have to give a curl.
No, I wouldn't. I would get some nice ass waves, have my hairline about down to here, dog. Nice and blended up right. I might get a flat top of Big Daddy Kane.
Would you grow your beard really long and then
you gonna look
cut
like
it off
James
so that you can weave your own beard hair onto your head so you can still say it's your hair?
That's what shit I might. That's why I'm growing this shit for. So when they make my motherfucking weave, my toupee, they can take my real motherfucking. I got a good grade hair. You see how my shit kind of straight right here, G?
Why is straight hair a good grade of hair?
I didn't say it. Don't get these niggas on here started talking about Steel talking about his hair.
Steel right now looks like Don King upside down.
You crazy, man. Don King, shout out Don King.
But if he would have,
brother.
But if he would have actually went and got a flat top right now, he'd look like James Earl Jones and Meteor Man.
Y'all crazy. Y'all fucked up.
That's you talking about this crazy shit. So you don't think that men and women should have a separate set of standards?
Hell no. Look at this shit, G.
Don't show me nothing else, man. This is a podcast.
No, but let me show you this, dog. Look at that right there. You see,
Ain't
he went from
nobody see what you showing them.
We are gonna start this at 6 minutes.
Bro, what the fuck is going on with you today?
Man, I'm gonna tell you this, G. It shouldn't be, man. Motherfuckers need to just do what they feel good about.
You don't think life should have two sets of standards?
Hell, that's the problem now because the man is always made to feel like shit. Don't nobody give a fuck about the man. When it's Mother's Day, they get all kind of gifts, pastries, cards, and all kind of shit. People waking up early, but when it's good looking out, pops. Happy Father's Day, pops. You might get a hamburger or some shit like that if you're lucky. You might get a meal if you're lucky. But when it's some woman shit, dog, they go all out for them. The pops died, man. My pops was a good nigga, man. He gone. Mom's died. Everybody about to die. Oh, my mom. And it's cool, dog. Women are just more revered in this society, dog.
Spend 364 days bitching about every last goddamn thing, and maybe you'll have more on Father's Day.
Yeah, probably. So women do complain like a motherfucker, dog.
People don't revere them. They're just desperate to shut them up.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, they get highly desperate when really, man, the whole key to having this for a man, if you a man, you just need you a bank full of money and a jar full of Vaseline.
A bank full of money.
And a jar full of Vaseline. That's it. And be happy in the motherfucker.
Big Steel Confucius.
Niggas probably live to be 100 years old if that was the case. They wouldn't have no motherfucking bite in their ear all the damn time. First time, and then when you respond to the shit, you're verbally abusive. You this and you that. Fuck that shit, man. Motherfuckers, it is a double standard. I'm all about men's rights right now. I'm gonna start protesting for men's rights.
No ceilings. GL. My man Peter Boss in the spot like usual. My big brother and resident guest of No Ceilings, who's here all the time, like he live here, Big Steel, going off. So you think your children should have the same standards as you do?
They can have whatever standard they want when they paying their own bills in their own house. But in my house, ain't no
then
shit.
They
ain't
not
no
children
standard.
no more.
That's what I'm saying. Ain't no standard but Big Steel standard up in this motherfucker.
Shouldn't it only be a Big Steel standard in there?
Hell yeah, for real. But that's the problem. Everybody else wanted the women, not just talking about my wife in particular, but women, they want to be equal footing as us.
They want to have the same paycheck, but they don't want to put in the same 40 hours.
I'll tell you something interesting about that. As you guys know, my oldest son, Stefan, he's working in the forest department, right? Forest firefighter, right?
Yeah.
So they had this big.
Shout out to our brothers. Shout out to our brothers and sisters that fight these fires in California. This is crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to all the public servants out there. That has to be a labor of love. They make decent money, but it's not enough to risk your life. That shit is dangerous.
Yeah. Go ahead, though.
So, Stefan, they have a situation where they're fighting a forest fire. And that equipment that they carry is sometimes up to 200 pounds. They have a lot of equipment on it. You have to be able to move. So you walking up a hill, this girl couldn't hold the equipment. It was one of the main people complaining early in camp, well, women need to be da. She fought to get in that unit, right? When she got in there, she couldn't carry her bags. She couldn't do nothing. Fell down the hill a couple of times to the point to where my son not only had to carry his bag, he had to carry hers as well because she couldn't do it. But yet she gets the same paycheck he gets. Where is that fair?
He should have left her there to light on fire.
Man, I would tell you this, had that been me, man, she'd have been on fire. I'd have just threw some water on her ass. I'd have left her with a cup of water.
So you think men and women should have the same exact standards, or they shouldn't?
No, they shouldn't be. They should be separate standards, for sure.
You know what I wanted to talk to you about? I'm glad we started talking about standards. Tip, right? I was looking at this thing where Tip was arguing with this podcaster.
You scared to say Charles's name? You don't want him on your ass, do you?
Oh, I don't care about saying Charleston White's name. He's a podcaster. Let me finish my thought. I've talked about Charleston White a few times. I've had Charleston White on No Ceilings, and it was disappointing to see the route he's gone, but that's not my business. Whatever that man got to do to earn his living is that man's. But he started insinuating that Tip was a rat. And I've heard that a few times. I've heard it from some of the homies that I fuck with, not on the streets, but like that's in the business. And I've heard like real casual fans who be on the internet say that. And since we're talking about standards, right? I thought about it. When you get into the rap business, right, and you're a street guy, but you're doing business, right? And somebody like Tip, right, in this case, do you know, are you familiar with T.I.'s case, Peter?
No, it has some sort of gun case.
So, yeah, so he goes to jail. He's buying some guns.
Yeah.
And either somebody's buying them from or they either the police or they sold it to him and informed the police. So the police catches T.I. buying all these guns. And he's fighting a federal charge for it. He's been on record saying, he had problems going on. Different type of guys was moving to Atlanta, different kind of villainous, characters.
Yeah.
So he goes and he's fighting this case, and he ends up making out with a really sweet deal. He doesn't have to do a ton of time in prison, but the actual, one of the actual, one of the actual conditions of him not having to go to prison for 10 years was he had to be a part of a television program called Crime Stoppers.
Oh, okay.
And or was it Crime Stoppers? It was a Crime Stopper. It was no, he had to be a part of this tip program that the police have in Atlanta where they like, hey, if you see a crime, call the police and tip them off. And T.I. had to voice one of the commercials where it's like, like, hey man, my name is Tip, but this is about a different tip. If you see a crime in the community happening to somebody, make sure you call the police and let them know.
Yeah.
And so between that and a situation with one of his bodyguards, Phil got killed in Cincinnati with some madness happening, and they was driving on the freeway, leaving town or going to the airport or whatnot, and somebody rolled up on the side of the van, shooting up, their transportation, and Phil ended up getting killed. And T.I. had to take the stand and give a testimony. And his testimony is not incriminating anyone. It wasn't about incriminating anyone. He don't even know what really happened, at least from his, what he says. He doesn't quite know who shot the van up. They didn't, see it. He was inside of the van. And from those two pretty much things, there's a league of people calling him a snitch. And what I don't like about it is it's obvious that if you use sense, that he's on a different standard. Now, this is not that Tip is not a street nigga. Like Tip very much came from the same type of ghetto I came from, most ghetto people came from, right? Where at one time he lived a life that was pretty much the underworld, an outlaw life. But since then, Tip has converted and changed his life. I'm a six-figure earner. Tip is a 7 to 8 figure earner. You know what I mean? Tip is making tens of millions of dollars every year. He has a huge job at this time at Atlantic Records where he's like, within the corporation. So it means his standard of life has changed. Like he can't live by the same exact standards that somebody that's not Glasses Malone or even Glasses Malone is at a different standard of life to where I wouldn't have to do what Tip have to do because I'm not a part of that kind of corporation, but I would deal with it different versus the everyday person outside. And I was just thinking, because in the streets, Pete, they say like, where I grew up, if you take the stand and make a statement, it was considered snitching. But that's only if you live an outlaw lifestyle
Yeah.
at that level. There's no way possible people should be saying T.I. told. And I don't like when people mislead people who are not in the streets with information. That's bothering me. Like, I thought it was funny, ha ha ha, all they tease and tip, but now it's getting out of control to what people saying that. And there was a situation where Charleston White got into a dispute with T.I.'s son, you know what I'm saying, who was an adult, you know what I'm saying, but still T.I.'s child, and they were going back and forth, and he brought Tip into it, and you're arguing with somebody's son, you know what I mean, but
Yeah.
then when you taking it out on the son, you realize, I'm gonna talk to his daddy and say shit, and I just don't like that, bro. Like there has to be a standard that makes sense amongst civilians, because really nobody from the streets that's in the streets would think T.I. told. Like I don't think nobody I know think, oh, Tip is a snitch. I don't think, the guys that I mess with in the A and Bankhead that grew up in all of the ghettos around Atlanta, I have never heard from the streets that T.I. told. I think anybody with half a brain looks at T.I.'s situation and realize that he's in a different position, like where he has to do certain things that he can't do the exact same things he did when he didn't have, a billion-dollar corporation that's backing him. Meaning, like he
Yeah.
can't just, oh, I'm not gonna take the stand, I'm gonna run, or I'm gonna plead the fifth. At that point, you know what I mean, they can do
You
different things to
can't
him.
even plead the fifth on that because you're not in. You have to be presumably vulnerable to criminal accusation to plead the fifth.
What do you think, Still?
You know what, bro? I think this whole thing with snitching is like out of control right now because again, you have to be a member of the underworld in order to even qualify as being a snitch.
Hands down. And
like if somebody came in Peter's apartment, not while we on air, and they punched him in his eye, I fully expect Peter to call the police on that motherfucker.
yes.
And tell him, hey, he hit me in my eye. I expect Peter to sue that motherfucker and everything else because that's what you're supposed to do as a member of society. Everything can't be about frontier justice,
Sure.
because you have chaos without that. So that's something that's limited to the underworld and their endeavors. But I think a lot of people, and that's the problem now, people have too much access. And when you get people that have bad information, they become conduits for that bad information and start spreading.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. There's far too many people speaking on shit that they don't have no business speaking on now. Like I talk about it, like the situation with my man Mob James.
Mm-hmm.
The people talking about James, talking about Mob, have no place talking about him. Not at all. They don't have the right to talk about him.
Even in that situation, right? Forgive me. Even in that situation with Mom James, right? Like I've looked over that paperwork. I never saw his name.
Yeah, his name ain't in there, bro. So it's like, really, you have to almost plead the fifth to that shit. You shouldn't have no opinion on it because you can't see his fucking name. Even though, we don't talk, and people have a right to think what they want to think. They can look at all the facts and think what they want to think. I'm not mad at that. But for somebody to come on there, man, he a snitch, the Snitch Chronicles. It's become a joke, dog. And I remember it was a time where you would get your head busted open for calling the motherfucker a snitch.
Shit, that
That time was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, that time is still now in certain places. That time now is still in certain places. And I get rumors every day of snitching, and that's become the go-to. If somebody got a problem with you, instead of them being creative, they're going to, oh, you a snitch. I heard he was a snitch. It's almost like a go-to now for somebody when they trying to put a chink in your armor.
It's like, well, your boy 6ix9ine started that, calling everybody from anybody ever came by Harlem. Jim Jones a snitch. This guy a snitch. That guy a snitch. Doing all
and
of
you
that.
see, he wound up being a bit of snitch. Oh, yep, he used to all the time, and he wound up becoming the biggest snitch ever.
Yeah, now that's snitching, and it's weird because you'll have a bunch of people, right, that'll say, oh, well, he wasn't a blood, or I even heard Wax say like, well, he not, you got to be a gangster to snitch. No, that's not about being a gangster. Like you just have to be a part of the underworld.
Like, let me ask you this:
outside of the law,
like personally, like say you and I are in the car with some shit, right? It's just your shit. So I ain't got nothing to do with the shit. And we get stopped. If you keep your mouth shut long enough, I'm not going to carry that water for you. I'm not involved in this. But if we're involved in it, I'm not saying anything because I'm involved in it.
Yeah.
That's just, but I'm not a career cyclically every single day life person. I'm a one and doneer if I'm doing something.
Sure. As long as you understand once you do that one, that's it. But
yeah,
back to the Mob James situation, because that's one of those situations that really somebody asked me about. And I was like, look, man, I looked at the paperwork. I'd never seen his name. I saw the pictures. Could it look like him? Sure. I'm not saying no buts or nothing. And FD is a qualified gangster to where you got to take it like his name means something. But I cannot say with some kind of conclusion, you know what I mean, that I know this. So what I do in that situation, and I'll be like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Let me shut the fuck up and mind my fucking business. You know what I mean? That's true.
Which is really, bro, what everybody else should do, because even though he's my co-host, I've never spoken in a situation. I tell people I have no comment or opinion. That's his business.
Yeah. And
That's
my
their
thing is,
business.
all of those things is one of them things where I just be like, let me get my hands off of it because I can't. Now, prime example, if you ask me if I know somebody snitched, you know what I mean? Their name is in paperwork. I'm like, that person told. It's funny because um I was looking at Snoopy Badass, his paperwork, and like his paperwork, he told in the paperwork. And he was explaining like, oh, well, I can't tell because the person told on themselves. And I'm like, that's not really how this works. And what I'm starting to realize is there's this really huge disconnect on what snitching is. Like, right? And that's why you have to reel it back. And you got to start at the beginning premise, almost like people don't even know no more. Like I'm telling you, like I was looking at, that kid like on YouTube, like, oh man, and I'm like, bro, the paperwork say you told. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you can't say anything because I don't think they're thinking. I don't know what the fuck is going on where we didn't got to this place to where the average person never knew what snitching was because the average person wouldn't use it in the correct context. But I agree with you still. The more access we have to street life and street terminology is mistaken. And people don't quite know what snitching is. And they just keep saying it. And I'm looking at him calling Tip a snitch. I'm like, that's not snitching. Now, at the most primitive levels of street life, right? At the most primitive levels of street life, taking the stand is considered snitching. Giving a statement is considered snitching. But T.I. obviously is not living at that place. You know what I mean? Especially at this time in his career. Now, I'm not saying he's not doing crimes, you know what I'm saying? But first off, he would have to be telling on somebody else. Like you have to incriminate somebody else in the crime. You have to be talking about specifically a crime that somebody else committed. You know what I'm saying? That's important. Tip didn't incriminate shit. You know what I mean? Now, are we saying he not the streetest guy? I mean, goddamn, $100 million later, I'm sure the fuck he not. You know what I mean? But it's just confusing when I hear people running around calling each other snitches and this, that, and the snitch and this. And I'm just like, man, y'all motherfuckers throw this shit around so fucking crazy. I mean, this shit's serious. Like it ain't never cool. It's gonna be a real problem when it's said and done all the time.
And like 99% of the time, I don't know, every speaker, everybody who's out on the internet calling everybody else a snitch, but most of those people, I would presume, if you really are making money under the table for a living, that's where you live your life. You're not wasting all your goddamn energy running around on the internet talking about this person and that person's a snitch and not.
And
Most of them squares, and I don't think those
exactly.
people are going to be able to stand there under pressure and take 10 or take 5 extra or something like that. They'd fold just as fast or faster.
And I'm gonna tell you something too, and this is a fact, man. That's very dangerous because you have a bunch of, and most of these are younger kids. Just because a motherfucker has possibly cooperated with the government or snitch, that don't mean they no whole ass nigga. That don't mean they not a man. There's some snitches out there that would knock your fucking head down. Some of y'all ain't qualified to be calling motherfuckers snitches. You have to be qualified to do that shit.
If you not listen, the way I personally feel about a snitch is really unique. Like I've been on record saying, like, a snitch is worse than a pedophile. The act of pedophilia is worse than the act of snitching, but a snitch is worse than a pedophile. A pedophile was dealing with some kind of mental wire crossing to where they're attracted to somebody they shouldn't be attracted to. You know what I mean? That like something is wrong with you. Like I don't make any choices to not be a pedophile. I've never seen an attractive child. I've never seen an attractive child. Like I'm not making a choice to not be gay. I've never seen an attractive man. I never saw a sexually attractive child or a sexually attractive man. So I know if I've never thought that, Pete, or you never saw that, or Steele's never saw that, right? That means if somebody sees a sexually attractive child, it's a wire crossing their head. Something is confused and that's not functioning correctly. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you see a man, and forgive me, this is no shot at the LGBTQ community, but something up there is wired differently to where you see things that are attractive that the average human being don't see attractive.
Or we could just say maybe in basic terms, your sexual proclivity is not reproductively oriented.
Facts. Sure. Oh, even greater. That's actually a fantastic fact, right? Which should be the main, which is why I understand when they say it's natural, because that's the main, that's the main mental or spiritual drive for
That's
sex.
the
Even if
evolutionary
Mhm.
drive.
yeah, right. So, if a snitch is worse because a snitch is somebody who's making a choice to be irresponsible. A true snitch, a real snitch is,
Just a
a
flagrant coward.
guy that's a part of an underworld lifestyle, an outlaw lifestyle, and he's informing the police on somebody else's crime.
Is it fair to say that snitches live in a universe without consequences?
Uh,
I am not mad at that. That's why
I'm not mad at that either. And I think with most people, G, I think that's the thing. I'm not mad at that. I think that's true. I think that's a character flaw, bro. I think snitching is a character flaw. I think it's a character flaw because you have to have a certain character and snitching doesn't have nothing to do with the old lady, man, or the person that's a civilian calling the police on somebody breaking their house.
They're supposed to.
And I'm gonna tell you this: I don't care if you a Crip, Blood, or whatever else. If you own a home and you're a homeowner and you got TVs and shit in your house and all this and that, and you have insurance and that stuff, if somebody breaking your house and you have to file a police report, that is not snitching. That is you getting your money back to your insurance.
Anything with insurance, yeah. Like I had to do that shit. Some guys like hit and ran on my car once. I have to report it, otherwise, how the fuck am I gonna get the car fixed?
So all this shit about that motherfuckers be talking, like I heard somebody say something about the homie Big U, because he has a program to where he gets a lot of brothers from other neighborhoods jobs.
Yeah.
Great thing. He has to deal with the police because guess what, dumbass? A lot of that money comes from the police department. The police department in every city has millions of dollars that they're supposed to be spending towards programs like that. And of course, they're going to go to a guy like a Big U because of what? He knows a lot of people in the community, and he is very more than qualified to govern stuff like that. Wouldn't you agree, Chief?
But even is Big U a criminal at this point in his life?
No, he's not a criminal. He's a grown ass man. I'm gonna tell you this, dog. And
That's the thing that don't make sense to me. And okay, I know him, right? I've never now maybe I'm not the person he will come to with crimes. He like G a rapper. He know I'm a real 7th Street Crip for sure, if nothing else. But I've never really heard him talk about crime. So like he's a professional businessman. And that's my debate for a lot of people that come from our life to where it's like, they can't do business a certain way because they're blah, blah, blah. But these people aren't criminal. Big U is a fucking community activist to some degree. I'm not saying he's not community, like he's not biased to his own community and looking out for people where he's from. That's how everybody should be. Hell, if we go to certain communities with little Saigon or Chinatown, it's going to most likely be Chinese people working in that motherfucker.
Let me tell you this, G. You know how I met Big U?
Yeah.
I met Big U through Black Tone.
Yep.
Through Black Tone. Black Tone called me on the phone with him and said, hey, man, I got my boy Draws on the phone. I was telling him steal your team and whoop his ass. I met Big U on some youth football shit, and me and Big U talk 2 or 3 times a month about youth football. Big U is a great nigga, dog. He does incredible things for them niggas. All them kids on Crenshaw, G, they get to play football for free. He got food for them. He got activities for them. And if that's not the best shit ever, that's the shit niggas should be applauding.
But that's my point. Somebody like where he's at in his life, he can't be a snitch.
That's what I'm saying.
This is gonna sound crazy. Snoop Dogg can't be a snitch. Like if somebody's calling Snoop Dogg a fucking snitch, Snoop Dogg ain't fucking had to commit fucking crimes in forever.
G, even more, man, as black men, we need to really get out that shit, dog. We need to leave that shit the fuck alone.
I cliff with you because that's just different. I'm not.
No, but listen to what I'm saying.
Policies, Nate does not discuss that in public for public ears.
I'm not gonna do that.
But listen to what I'm saying, though, bro. This is the thing, bro. And I'm gonna take your phrase. A lot of people are being intellectually lazy.
Sure.
You know why? You know why I think Charleston White is funny as hell? Because he tells you who he is, but he's not taking the. He's telling you who he is, and he's unapologetic about it.
Well, this is my issue. I don't agree with that because, and I'll say this, and I won't really say too much about this because that shit really is a disappointment. This is somebody I really thought was super intelligent and bright, and I think he's very.
Oh, he is. He's a very intelligent dude.
But he's also cunning and disingenuous. And I'm gonna tell you what's disingenuous about it. One, he knows way more about the culture than he leads on. He knows it's not as ignorant and blank, just like you. Like we both know, you specifically cannot go and start to say we need to stop this because there's a criminal underworld in every last racial makeup in this country, every cultural place in this country. So no, you don't stop it. No, you don't stop this. Like, no, you actually should be at that level accountable for your own shit.
So you think that people should, you think being online in a chat room or on a social media platform,
what those people are doing? Because
but listen to me, bro. Listen to what I'm saying, because I want you to fully digest what I'm trying to say, right?
Sure.
Whatever the community is doing about that issue is where it should stay at. It has no place in the comment thread.
But I don't think people. So yes, right. There are every now and then those guys who leaks that stuff out, but most of the time it's other people leaking it out, or it's people trying to be, you know what I mean, in the limelight leaking it out. I mean, plus we just in a different world to where I don't think people really understand, you know, because they do people's social network in this small, you know, space of a few people, but they don't realize that shit is public. It means because they still
that's it right there, exactly.
Like, they still social network like we hanging out in the hood with homies, but they don't realize what's there is public, and it's not like when you would beef with a nigga and you write on the wall blah 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 K. You know what I mean? You had to drive in that community. You know, it was a different risk to drive in that community to see that on that brick wall to understand something was happening. Versus now, if you got that on your post, you know what I mean? It don't take nothing to go by nobody's Instagram profile and see what you're saying. And now the information is out to other people too easy.
You just nailed it right there, bro. And that's the problem, is that a lot of people aren't aware that they're on a public platform, that they're on public platforms like this. It's like I always tell people when they come on the show, I'm one of those guys, if you say some crazy shit on my show that I know you didn't want to say publicly, but you just got caught up in the conversation, I'm going to take it out of there. But the next man is not. Everybody don't have the moral standard, the moral compass that I have. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to watch nobody to get a few dollars. That's just not me. But a lot of these people, man, if you notice, G, people are quick to throw darts and rocks at somebody else, but they live in a glass house. And that's just what I think that's just the climate that we in right now, man. It's a lot of bullshit. We're in a climate of bullshit and more bullshit.
And like, I'm not trying to connect the dots or draw that bridge. We've kind of had that conversation before, but it's like there's been several terms that have kind of gone popular that maybe otherwise kind of started, you know, with the process of like hip hop really kind of pulling the curtain back on some of the stuff that goes on in the street level in a lot of cities. You get terms like pimp, OG, whatever, that get real bastardized. They don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? That's a word that in the context of casual conversation doesn't have really the genuine meaning, but people don't realize when you start putting somebody's specific name behind it, now it has genuine meaning. Again, now it's reverted back to what it meant before it was on platinum records and shit like that or whatever the fuck.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, man. You know, and I think at the end of the day, bro, we can't take none of this shit too serious, bro. Nothing on the internet I take serious, bro. Until a motherfucker bring it to me, it's like if a dude is on the internet woofing, like I looked at this shit. Now, one thing I thought was funny was T.I. talking about whooping Charleston White's ass on the internet, right? T.I. has a number of resources, and people just put themselves in the dumbest position sometimes. See, if a motherfucker was talking crazy and they're one of my kids, I wouldn't say shit to them motherfuckers online. I wouldn't have a damn thing to say. I'll do your thing, because when I see you, it's gonna be what it is.
Yeah, I definitely think he fell for it.
Yeah, he fell for a hook, line, and sinker because Charleston White ain't trying to fight no motherfucker. He tell you, I'm not trying to fight you. I'll put you in that little yellow boy in jail. He called his son a yellow little freak and told him that he was he pretty much said, I'm going to read it verbatim, man. He said that he would pretty much gun T.I.'s kid down.
Yeah, and I didn't like that.
I didn't like that. I didn't think that was cool right there because Charleston White is a 50-year-old man. T.I.'s son is a little kid, dog. He's a young dude, right? Now, if you go see the little cat and slap the shit out of him, that's one thing, but you talking about, I'm going to do this to this kid and stuff like that. Charleston White is the king of antagonizing the motherfucker, and T.I. fell hook, line, and sinker for it. Ran on line. I spare no expense on your ass. Don't give a fuck about the police. First of all, Tip, shut the fuck up. You do care about the police. You out here making your money and everything. Don't no nigga want to go sit in jail. Gee, I don't want to go sit in jail. I'm not falling for no stupid shit. I'm not fucking up my livelihood to go sit down for 2 or 3 years. I don't have time like that. I don't have the luxury of having that time.
Might be worth it though, dog.
In some cases, now, if a motherfucker put his hands on somebody in my family, dog, or put his hands on me.
You talk about gunning down your son.
That's what I'm saying.
Fucked up. That might
dog,
be.
And I would tell you this. That's why I don't play those type of games online, dude. I don't disrespect nobody. I don't play with nobody's kids. I don't play with nobody's bras. I don't play with nobody as a man or a female because it's a certain line that you shouldn't cross. And this line is consistently being crossed every day on the internet, dude. It's like we got motherfuckers arguing with somebody else's kid now, dog. Talk about gunning down some nigga's son now. That shit sound crazy to me, dog.
Yeah, it do sound crazy.
That shit sound crazy.
And you know who the father is. That's what makes it really sound crazy.
But that's the thing, dog. It's like this. Charleston White has enough, I don't like to say fame or nothing, but he has enough notoriety to where he could have got at Tip and talked to him about that if he really wanted to. You feel what I'm saying? One thing I'm learning, G, ain't nobody hard to get in touch with, dog. Some of these niggas don't want to find each other. Some of these motherfuckers just rather carry on the charade.
They definitely not looking for each other, for sure.
Because I tell
motherfuckers trying to realize it's a bunch of niggas just saying fucked up shit about each other. Like I don't know. Like, and that's my point. Like, I hold my opinion. Like I know what it is and I'll say what it is, but I'll hold my opinion to myself about it.
Yeah, for sure.
My opinion should be only, demonstrated for the person that's in question.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Man, Steele's just snitched out on the podcast.
Mm-hmm. He done ranked out right now.
Man, the thing I think with T.I.
Yeah, Eric, would he fart in the room or something?
I don't know. That would be so funny if that's how he if he had to take 5 over that.
I wish y'all could see this shit. Whoever listened to No Feeling, the 10,000 people that downloaded the first week it come out, I wish you could see this because this motherfucker is crazy. I don't know. Pete is just getting worse and worse, and you just like I said, we start off in these weird places to where. Again, we're talking about that same urban street colloquialisms that are adapted by mainstream and misused and then are weaponized. And it's dangerous to weaponize them because it's people that come from where I come from that really look at that and be like, holy shit, they don't like people from the street don't got enough time to investigate the facts. You know what I mean? Especially the guys that really want to get rid of snitches.
And like if someone called like I don't know, like if someone hypothetically was running all over the internet calling me a snitch and shit like that, unless they were saying I snitched on specifically some person that was very dangerous and might take that shit seriously because there was some sort of anonymous, whatever, what do you call that, witness protection testimony given or some capacity, it doesn't matter to me. Like it doesn't impact my livelihood if someone runs around calling me a snitch, but you go run around do it to somebody where it does impact their fucking livelihood and shit like that. That's a whole different game to play. I don't think it impacts T.I. and I don't think that he cared that much about this dude running his mouth about his kid because he did go online and say some shit back. He's not gonna. I mean, it just says he doesn't take the threat seriously, which he probably shouldn't because I don't think the guy was. I mean, he might have been. I don't know. I don't think that it was going to happen. I'll say it that way, in that regard.
Yeah. But it's just the pressure of it all, I think.
Yeah. You're playing a roulette. I mean, you're completely gambling on the sobriety, so to speak, not from a substance level, but just like from a mental volatility level of the other person you're talking about at that point, because you've now thrown the ultimate gauntlet down.
Mm.